Hi guys, it's Michelle and I'm here from Women Who Wow, right? Not sure who else you're expecting on a Women Who Wow Live, but I am super excited to come and talk with you guys about my hack job relationship, my hate-love versus love-hate relationship with the media, and how it's made me money, tons and tons of money over the years. It's been one of my primary drivers based on content, right? So I use the media, I work with the media to give me different stages on which I can present my content, verbal, recorded, written, all of that. So I want to go into that a little bit, but first I want to share this video that anybody who needs to hear it can definitely hear this story. It's kind of funny. It reveals a little bit of my naiveness. What is that word? I can't think of the word. But anyway, so I'm really excited to share this with you guys. And I think you'll find it a little bit funny how my journey with the media started. However, it's a funny story, but I also want to show you how I started out very, very clunky, right? And what I discovered in that process. So I cannot figure out how to share this. I hate this new Facebook layout, right? It's just is pretty awful. So anyway, maybe I won't be able to share it. So the first time that I approached the media, I was scheduling a for-profit, meaning I was charging people to attend. I was scheduling a for-profit workshop, right? And so the workshop name was, and this was like 20 years ago, 18 years ago, something like that. But the workshop name was Work Your Own Way, right? And I will never forget, coming up with that phrase because I really wanted to demonstrate. I wanted to work with moms back then who had kids, didn't want to do the daycare thing, didn't want to leave the house every day, didn't want to miss their kids every day and settle for like what they could get at night or in the afternoons. And I could do that. I didn't have family money. I didn't have credit cards. I didn't have credit, I had, $213 in savings, and I took $50 of that to start my business. And so what I really wanted to do was share how other women, if they were serious about making money from home, even way back when, how they could do it. And even instinctively back then, there were no online business coaches that I could find. There was nobody who was teaching you how to get to the media. There was none of that. But I instinctively knew that I needed the media in order to get my message out to more people. Now, I did my part as well. Don't get me wrong. When I was promoting these workshops, and I forget how much they were. I think they were maybe $45. But when I was promoting these workshops, I would print flyers, and I would go and I would, every few hours, I would put flyers on cars that were parked outside of Babies R Us, right? Because I'm thinking these people are registering, or they're buying for a baby, or their parents are, and they're like, oh my God, there's this woman teaching this Work Your Own Way for moms. And so I was doing my own work, right? I was creating my own media. However, it was definitely, I needed a bigger stage. And so I remember back when I was a kid, I was in pageants, and I remember being interviewed a few times by various newspapers. And one of those is called the Chesapeake Clipper. And I decided, well, I'm going to call the Chesapeake Clipper, and I knew that I had a little bit of a hook, right? So my hook was you interviewed me when I was 15, and you asked me these questions, and here's what I said, and now here's what I'm doing right back in Chesapeake, Virginia. And so I did have my hook. I did have that going on. And, but I did a traditional press release. And back then I faxed it in where you're supposed to fax in press releases. And this is where it gets really clunky and maybe even a little bit embarrassing. Okay, now I can share. So anyway, I literally called, I did my faxes, and I didn't hear from anyone. And to me, this was truly appalling, right? The idea, I kind of thought that press releases would be responded to or something, right? Like, I was infuriated. And so I didn't just send it to the Chesapeake Clipper. I shared it to, any of our local newspapers. I think maybe I just had a kid or something like that. I didn't want to go on TV because I felt heavy or whatever. But I definitely sent it to all the print media outlets in my area. And when I sent it, and I was appalled by the fact that they did not respond, right? I sent a press release and they didn't respond. And this is the embarrassing part. I sat at my desk and I got the phone number for each of those media outlets, and I called them to say, and my first thing is, who is in charge of your press releases? Who's in charge of getting press releases? And they were like, well, where'd you send it? I'm like, I faxed it in, and here's the pitch. And this is what I said. I was like, I need y'all to do a story on this because I have an event coming up in a couple weeks. Like, if we don't do a story now, right? So that was my thing. And I was actually like, I felt like I had this righteous anger that they were ignoring my press release. And so a couple of times they're like, ma'am, are you trying to buy an ad? I'm like, no, I'm not trying to buy an ad. Like, I want the story, and here's the story and here's the hook. And one of the, editors kind of giggled. He chuckled a little bit at me, which made me even more mad. But he did do a story. And I didn't even realize back then that, like, I should have bought an ad. And there was no way that they were going to probably run this story about this chick who's doing something for a fee in their town, right? But they did it because I think they maybe respected my chutzpah. I don't know, but they did the story. And that was my first experience with pushing through to get the media that I wanted. And up until that point, I had run several, I guess you'd call them unsuccessful live workshops in my area. Back then you couldn't, or I couldn't, have people pay ahead, right? They just kind of RSVP'd and they paid when they got there. A lot of times they brought checks that didn't clear or whatever. But mainly I always was optimistic, and I was always thinking I could have up to 12 people. And so I'd buy pizza and drinks and snacks for 12 people. And sometimes only 2 would show up, and I would take all the pizza to the fire department. They started to kind of count on me when they'd see I was having an event. They knew they were eating good that night. But anyway, so I say they were maybe unsuccessful. They were definitely unsuccessful from a profitability standpoint. But I learned a lot. And I also helped some women achieve their goals in motherhood. So I felt good about that. But anyway, it was definitely a learning experience. And when they ran the article about me and like where I started in Chesapeake and what I was doing now, it was really just like, it really added fuel to my brand, which I didn't even think I had a brand back then, but it added fuel to what I was doing. And that's what the media does, right? The media, when I talk about the media, it's like I view the media in general as a stage, just a stage, right? And so media can be any stage that they offer, right? So some media is a live stage, some media is a print media outlet, some media is a TV outlet, some media is a podcast or a radio show, right? And so once this one little clunky, and I think that I wanted to tell that story also because I started out very clunky with the media, but determined and persistent, and it worked, right? So anything that we do new, we do start out clunky and it feels like it's never going to work or whatever, but I just stayed with it until I practically forced them to do a story on me. But after that, I was like, yeah, I'm getting on some media outlets, and I started to reach out to media. I started to identify media that I could write for, because writing came really easily to me, and I learned quickly that people don't like to write, and so they're always looking for stories. And so from pretty much the very beginning of my business, I started doing a lot of radio shows in print. And when people will look at me and think I'm like the dark horse of the industry, or like, how is she doing what she's doing? She's not even well known. Here's the deal. I have cobbled together a web, essentially, of little niche groups that know who Michelle Pippin is, that know what Women Who Wow is. And I did that through the media. It was very, very deliberate. And so when I say my hate-love relationship with the media, it started in pure hate. Like, I was irate that they would have gotten my press release and not responded. I found it rude, right? And so anyway, it started out with that. And then I learned to love the media because it gave me an opportunity that I couldn't do on my own. And here's the way I learned to look at it. And here's what I teach, right? You have 2 options. You can amass your own audience, right? You can amass your own audience, or you can step on a stage, print, digital, or otherwise, where you're in front of somebody else's audience, right? And I preferred to step on other people's stages, and while being able to speak to their audience, I prefer to be able to amass my own, right, during that time. And so that was like my preferred mode of using content marketing, but with some real muscle behind it, right? Because I was not just speaking to people hoping they'd show up. I was showing up on places, stages, pages, where people were already gathered, and they were people that I knew that I could help. So that is my kind of clunky story with the media, and I'm telling it now because I am with Diane White, who is an amazing PR person, the best that I know, and we're doing a digital Meet the Media, Pitch the Media event. And we're gonna actually bring together, there's only 25 slots. And so, and several of those are already taken. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna virtually get with one media outlet at a time. And the media outlets are Rachel Ray, The Wendy Williams Show, CNN, Fox News, and I think Business Insider. And so for a very, very inexpensive fee, you can join us, and you can not just get face-to-face with these top decision makers, like our Rachel Ray producer. He's the top producer, and he's been with Rachel Ray since season 1, right? The Wendy Williams producer is a top producer. It's just like, these aren't like people who are very, very low on the totem pole. They're top producers, top editors at these outlets. And you get with them face-to-face and talk about your business and let them meet you. But you also get their preferred mailing and email and contact information. You get their preferred information so that you're top of the list for them. You also get to ask them, like, how should I follow up? Or what if you don't get back with me? You get to ask them the questions that normally business owners just wonder about. So it's very casual, it's very relational. It's one of my favorite parts of meeting with the media, because they get to see your heart, they get to see what drives your business, and not just your pitch, but they also get to hear your pitch as well. So very, very excited about that. It's coming up mid-September. So if you have any questions about that for me, definitely message me, m.me/womenwhowwow, and I will make sure to get back with you soon so that you can make your decision about whether you want this kind of attention and this kind of reach in your business. And sometimes you might not, right? Like, and I will tell you that with everybody, the media is, it's work, right? To get that kind of fuel in your business. And it's work to get featured, right? And then it's work on the other side. It's work to get to the other side of being featured. It's work to make sure that your feature on the on whatever the media outlet is, that you give it legs and you give it fuel so that it really can make money for you. And with this digital event, we do all of that. So we actually put you in touch face-to-face with the media. We position you really well so the media is looking forward to meeting you. And we also show you how to make money, or how to follow up with the media to make sure you get your time in the spotlight, and also how to make money from it on the other side, which is my genius. But anyway, so I'm excited about this, and I really would love to talk with you about whether you're a good fit to meet with these particular media outlets. And if you have any questions, message me and let me know. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.